everyone, I have an art challenge for you, and this art challenge is to produce a piece of artwork inspired by a Brazilian artist called Beatrice Milhazy. Now she is an abstract artist who uses lots and lots of geometric shapes in her work, especially circles, and the colours that she uses are really bright and rich and vibrant. So please watch the video and have loads of fun doing some artwork at home. Once you've finished your artwork, please ask an adult to help you take a photograph and then email that into the school office, and I'll put the office email address up at the end of the video for you. And once we've got your fabulous artwork, we can then feature that on our Instagram and our Facebook pages. I'm really looking forward to the time that we can all be back together again at school. But in the meantime, have fun doing loads and loads of artwork. Bye for now. Here we can see some of the amazing work by Beatrice Milhazy. You can Google her and see more examples of her work online and some YouTube videos of her talking about her artwork, which might be really useful for this project. What do you notice about her work when you look at it? What elements reoccur? So before we start the drawing part of our artwork, we're going to need to collect some objects from around the home, and I have collected some circular objects, mostly from my kitchen, as Beatrice Milhazy uses lots of different sizes of circles in her work. I've got here a bowl, and I can draw around this edge or around the bottom edge. I have got the lid from an old coffee jar, the lid from an old spice sauce pot, the lid from a milk bottle, sellotape, a pound coin to create the smallest circles. I've also got some plates. Now I've used a dinner plate here, as that will be as large as the piece of paper that I have. And then I found two other plates that fit into each other, so they gradually get smaller. Put those to one side. We're also going to need perhaps a ruler to create straight edges. You'll see lots of straight edges in Beatrice's work. Or if you haven't got a ruler at home, you might like to find an old box and use the edge of the box, or perhaps the edge of a hard-backed book. You will need a drawing pencil and a rubber, and you're also going to need something to colour with. Now I have managed to find some colouring pencils buried in my son's pencil case. I've also found some Sharpie pens which have been in the drawer for a very long time, so I need to test them to see if they actually work, and some other felt tip pens that I've forgotten I had. If you haven't got colouring pens or pencils at home, you could also use paint, and if you haven't got any paint, you could also create a collage. Now collage is where we use small bits of coloured paper, card and fabric to create a picture. So you could use those for your Beatrice Milhazy's inspired artwork. Beatrice actually does use collage nearly all the time in her work, so you definitely will be inspired by her if you choose to use collage today. Next we're going to need a piece of paper. Now I've been really lucky that I have my sketchbook from school. If you haven't got a piece of paper at home, the other thing that you could use is an old box from recycling, a cereal packet or a food packet. Ask an adult to help you to unfold that box really carefully so it doesn't rip, and use the inside, so you'll have a lovely piece of card inside. Here mine is pale grey, yours might be pale brown, and you could also trim off the edges if you wanted to. Now we are ready to create the drawing that we need for our artwork. So I'm going to start with my largest circle, and that's the circle that fits onto my piece of paper. I'm actually going to let the circle just overhang my piece of paper here to create some interest. I'm going to draw around that. I'm pressing quite heavily today for this video so that you can see my line clearly. Of course, you wouldn't do that. You would press quite lightly so that if you make any mistakes, anything that you're unhappy with, it's easy for you then to rub out and you won't spoil the rest of your drawing. I'm going to draw around the next size plate that I have, and then the smaller plate. Just spend some time centering it in the middle and hold it steady while you draw around. And here I want to create a series of concentric circles. So those are circles that fit in one another, going from largest to smallest. Use the bowl, hold that steady. And then sellotape. And maybe I'll leave it without anything else in for the time being. Then I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to draw a line here right through. I think I'm going to put it just here actually. I'm going to draw a line that goes right through the dinner plate that I drew. Can you see here? And I'm just going to use my rubber to rub out the line here that overlaps. Yours will be much easier if you haven't pressed as hard as me. Now I'm going to use the smallest circle that I could find, and that was my pound coin. I'm going to draw around that, and I'm going to do a series of those through this ruler shape that I drew in. Again, I'm really rushing for the video. You'll spend a lot more time on yours. And I'll carry on doing those. I would quite like to put a little bit of this dining plate line back into my work where it just goes through the pound coin. So I just draw that back in because I really want to show that different shapes are overlapping. I've noticed in Beatrice's work she uses grids quite often of squares in black and white, which look really quite striking against the bright colours. So over here I am just going to very quickly make a grid of squares. I'm rushing mine, I'm doing mine by eye. You might like to measure yours out using your ruler first. And again, don't forget I'm pressing quite hard so that you can see my lines. So I'd carry on doing that. I'm not going to finish that right now. Next I'm going to place another circle, and I'm going to try and make this circle look like it's going underneath this plate and this ruler and underneath my grid. So I'm not going to draw over the top of those. I'm just going to draw the bit of circle. Can you see here? It would have gone underneath. I'm now going to, actually I'm going to use my bowl. I'm going to place my circles over to one side this time rather than centre. Make sure you've got a nice sharp drawing pencil for this. What I'd like to do is I'll put some more straight lines in my work. So over here I could measure, first of all, this is 9 centimetres in diameter, this circle. Find the centre. You know what the centre would be? 4.5 centimetres. I've put a dot in the middle, and now I am going to draw some lines. So I'm going to segment this circle up into 8 wedges. So now I'm going to spend some more time away from the camera finishing this drawing. Once you've finished your drawing, then you can start to add colour. And I started to add colour to one yesterday that I drew. I thought quite carefully about some of the colours that I used. Here I've used blue next to red, as blue and red appear opposite each other on the colour wheel. I also used green and red here, as they also appear opposite each other on the colour wheel, and here I've placed yellow and purple next to each other, and again they are opposite each other on the colour wheel. Any colours that appear opposite each other on the colour wheel will make those colours really pop out and sing.